who I am. Well, if somebody would.
Welcome to another T.A.R.A. Sessions. I'm T.A.R.A. Shannon, and today my guest is Willow Sound Records recording artist Mikayla Menzies. Woo! Here all the way from Victoria, BC. Well, you're an Ottawa native, really, but she lives very glamorous lifestyle now on the island.
Not really.
Well, it's lovely to have you. Thank you for saying yes to this. So the conversation, like I was telling you all about these T.A.R.A. sessions, is all about the I know who I am conversation, different aspects. You know, it's about me figuring out life and figuring out myself a bit more than I previously understood. So I just thought it'd be super cool to talk to some of my artists about, you know, how music, because music has been such a huge thing for me, and comfort and healing and self-discovery and revealing things about myself that sometimes I didn't want to see. So I know my artists, you know, and I know you've been through a lot in your very young life. And so, so I just want to have a chat about how music and being a music creator has helped you to understand yourself better. So tell everybody who's watching, you know, a little bit about your musical background, like.
Well, I started as a writer first. So I started writing poetry really young and just writing songs really young. It was kind of like the way that I got through my day-to-day growing up. So it was like, it's kind of something that like chose me. I feel like I didn't really like have anything else to kind of turn to. So music was always what I turned to. And like just writing and journaling was how I got through my like emotions and things. And then it turned into like melodies coming up and songs. And I started playing guitar when I was about 12 years old, and then I started kind of fully writing songs and kind of going into it deeper. So
I feel like you'll always be like 13 to me. No, you were a little bit older when I met you.
I was like
15. Were you driving yet? No,
I was like 17.
You were 17.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think.
And I just remember, you know, you had this raw talent, just natural raw talent, you know, and when you see that, you're like, oh, okay, there's there's so much here. For especially with young people, it's always amazing to me that, especially you, because you had like a depth, like there was already, you had so much to say. Like in a really cool way. And, you know, we always joke, you know, I'll joke with my kids. I just want to be as cool as Mikayla. When will I be as cool as Mikayla? And the kids are like, never. So I mean, that I can relate to that. So when did you, so you started writing poetry first, and when did you first start hearing melodies, and what was your response to that when you were just like, oh, there's a song in here?
Yeah, like I mean, my earliest memory of writing songs, I was 7. Like I remember being on the stairs and writing songs in a little notebook. But they weren't good. Like I was, like they weren't great. Like I spoke French too, so I was writing, but I always wrote in English, which is kind of funny.
You spoke French growing up? Really?
Yeah, my mom was fully French.
Really?
And I was in French school till I was in grade 6.
Okay.
So all the spelling was just like horrendous. Like nobody could read it. They're like, what does this mean?
Right.
But yeah, so I was always writing, but I think the melodies kind of came in when the guitar came in. Like I remember being at an open mic when I was like 11 and just seeing someone with a guitar, and I was like, I want to learn how to, whatever that is, I need it. Like I need to play that. And then I got a guitar for like Christmas or my birthday or something, and it was like, oh my God, my head exploded. Like it was just like, oh, and then I just taught myself. I didn't do the YouTube thing. I would look up like, how do you play a C chord on guitar, and look at the picture.
Right.
And then put my fingers where the picture told me to. So it was never like by like some teaching me. It was just like the picture really helped.
Yeah.
It's like visual learner, but yeah.
It's you teaching you.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's so great. That's one of the wonderful things about the internet and technology now, so you can really literally figure out how to do everything, you know?
Yeah.
So the guitar was a big, you play piano too though, so when did you start playing piano?
That one was by ear and a total fluke. Like I remember being at a sleepover and somebody had a piano and I was like, oh, cool. And I just started like playing, and same thing, like I would look up like, how do you play a C chord on on piano, and I would just like put my fingers where it said, and then it just kind of came naturally. But yeah.
Well, it makes sense to me that, you're very visual, because your artistic part of you is not just limited to music.
Yeah.
You have an ability with photography and just artistic and digital graphics and all of that. So you seem to be able to express, or you have an eye for things.
Yeah.
And have you been told that your whole life? Yeah.
Yeah. I think it comes from my mom a lot. Like she was a photographer, and like even spelling. I remember writing down things and I'm like, that doesn't look right. And because it was spelt wrong. So it was like, it's always been like a visual thing for me.
Right.
Yeah. Which is kind of funny, but.
Yeah, I totally see that.
Yeah.
So you said growing up, you didn't really have a lot of places to go, or your comfort or your go-to thing was music.
Yeah.
So what has music, helped you weather in life or brought you through in life? Where has it provided comfort for you?
I think it was like I had a really big thing with not feeling understood or not feeling seen, and music made me feel that way. Yeah. So every time I would listen to it, or like I would hear a song that I could relate to, it would make me feel seen, or like it was just like a community that made me feel like I was accepted in it, because I had the same dreams or the same experiences as somebody, and then it was like, oh, they get it. Like the people in my life that I see today don't get it, but these people get it. Mm-hmm. So there was like a connection between, it was like almost like two worlds.
Yeah. And so who were some of the musical influences on you?
There's so many, but when I was younger, it was Hilary Duff.
Of course.
I loved her. I went to her concert and I touched her hand.
Oh my God.
When I was 7, and I did not wash it when I got home. I was like,
life was changed.
Yeah. And it was like, we had little disposable cameras that we brought, and then throughout high school, like Lorde was a really big influence.
Oh yeah, that would have been your time.
Yeah, and
the harmonies.
Yeah,
beautiful.
Just like it was just like such a cool take on music that no one else had seen before. And then Frank Ocean was really big. Yeah, the Lumineers. Yeah. Like lots and lots of artists that keep coming, but those are like the top ones.
And then in your group of friends, like the people that would listen to your music and stuff, did you have other songwriters that you would hang out with or play with?
Not really.
No. So when you say that you played your music for people and they understood.
Yeah, I think it was like my peer group a little bit, but I always kind of stayed hidden away, I think.
Yeah. You've been there's a hermit part of you. I mean, but when you're out, you like, you shine and you do the whole thing, but I can relate to the hermit part of you, because I have that gene as well. Yeah. And just there's like, and Mikayla stays at the studio apartment when she's visiting. So, we sort of live together for certain parts of the year, and we have similar things where it's just like a comfy sweater and a cup of coffee and a journal book, and just let me be. Let me be in my space to write my thoughts and just connect with myself. So words really do that for you, whether it's journaling or songwriting. I journal almost every day or every second day, just like things that happen, and like I have literally like so many boxes of journals. It just like gets me through. Like I feel like my mind is so cluttered if I don't. And then it's also kind of fun to go back and kind of pull from experiences and write from that. So yeah. And what do you feel is the difference? Because now you're pursuing this professionally, and so we have a lot of conversations about songs and songwriting, and whether things make sense or not, or for me, as a coach, when I'm coaching artists and they're writing, I try to be careful to sort of, sometimes there's a song that's written and it's just, you can tell that it was just specifically to get through something or process something, and it's not one of those songs that we need to like dive into and rewrite because it's because we want it to be commercially viable. Like to me, art is just art, and if something is born, it's just born, and then it's sort of like figuring out what to do with it or what its purpose is. And sometimes the purpose is just as simple as it provided healing and comfort in the moment, but it's not something that we would necessarily put money into recorded release. So how have you found the process of adding the element into your career of sort of looking at what you create from a business standpoint, from a, like, you know what I mean? Like bringing in that element of decision making. How have you found that process?
I mean, yeah, like there's a lot of songs that I've written that are half written that I would like never bring to you.
Right.
Because it's like one of those things, it's like, okay, I can acknowledge that this was just like how I got through the day.
Yeah.
Or like this just needed to come out of me. And maybe like revisit it later, like maybe it'll kind of turn into something later. But yeah, I think just like my writing has completely shifted in the last couple of years. And I think it's become more like, what can I write that like would make sense and that people would understand?
Yeah.
Not just like me just writing to like get it off my chest kind of thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's just like kind of being like aware of like, okay, I'm starting something just to write today. And like, if it does come to something, great. If it doesn't, that's okay too.
Yeah. Taking the pressure off of that, I think. Giving ourselves space to just be creators, and just put our business hat on after, but not from the start. You know, I think that's a really important part of the process. I mean, having been coaching you for however many years, 5-6 years now, you're writing. I could it's and everybody I work with, which is such it's such a like, I just love that part of it.
It's
like,
so cool.
And nobody gets more excited than me when like one of my artists brings a song I'm like, oh my gosh, like it's like the difference or the depth in the writing and just the learning about the crafting tools, because sometimes when I'm working with an artist, they're super resistant. They're like, this is just how it came to me, therefore this is how it should be born in the world. And and I'll be like, okay, but there's no rhyme scheme and nobody really understands what you're talking about. So sure, but like, of course, because there's no rules to art. But like what I'm trying to manage is the expectation. Exciting for me when artists that I work with are not resistant to the process, but they're really like, because I love psychology. And to me, it's the psychology of listening. Yeah. It's not the rules of there must be rhyme and da-da-da-da. That's not it. It's we understand the listener and we understand the effect on the brain when there are rhyme schemes, when there is repetition, when you go away from repetition and come back. So how has learning about the craft of songwriting affected you as a creator?
I think it's become more about the listener and less about me. Yeah. So it's like I can take my experience and turn it into a song, but if no one gets it or understands it or follows, what's the point? Yeah. So it's just focusing on that experience. Like if nobody knew like anything about what I've been through, which they don't. Right. It's trying to like explain it in a way where you put somebody in that situation and make them feel something. So like that, looking at it that way has like helped. Yeah. Kind of taking a little bit of a zoomed out approach has helped. But yeah, I think it's really important to like make sure you're translating, and then also getting like a second opinion. Like I always love sending my songs to you because like, I'm like, okay, like T.A.R.A's gonna say if I need to work on this or not.
Yeah, and we all do that. Yeah, like, we all have our people that we trust. Yeah, and there's consistency with it, and when you find that person that has your best interest at heart, that understands you as a writer and what you're trying to say, and honoring that part of the artistry while also giving feedback about structural stuff or crafting stuff, and really it comes down to clarity. Yeah. So it's like
that's a good word for
being, it's like this is clear, because what I love too is watching songwriters come into their own, and when they come into their own, there's like a fingerprint on their writing. There's a little thing or a little something that just sounds like it's just the way Mikayla writes, and it's clear and it's cool and it's got, it might even be abstract, but we get it. Yeah. You know what I mean? So I love when I start to see the fingerprint, in the song. And I think that's directly connected to what you said, is the process of changing our writing from it being about ourselves to it being about connection with the audience. And my songwriting mentors like drove that home to me. Like when I was, I mean, we're always learning, but when I was intensely like dove into master classes and stuff. And that was a huge shift for me as well. And it requires vulnerability. I've talked about that with some of my other artists as well. But the connection level that you get and the experience. The irony is, you know, when artists are like, yeah, but it's just the way I write. It's just my style, you know, and it's like not clear at all. And I'll be like, okay, that's a great song about a black cat. And they're like, no, it's not about a black cat. It's about a yellow bird. And I'm like, okay, well, we have a problem because if you're trying to write a song about a yellow bird and I'm totally getting black cat, you know, and then I try to explain that I'm like, okay, but they're like, I want it to be universal and like everybody could put their own stuff in it and put their own story to it. I'm like, yes, that's great. But that's not black cat, yellow bird. That's like you write a song about a yellow bird and I'm like, oh, great song. Like I saw a canary and then the writer's like, yeah, mine was a parrot.
Yeah.
Or a parakeet. Do you know what I mean? Like that is, that's the point of bringing your own stuff and connecting, and it's not a conversation totally about like whether it's about a yellow bird.
Two different things.
Exactly.
Nobody knows what's going on.
Because there is room for, you know, and in songwriting there's the whole, you know, commercial versus artistic sort of spectrum, and you know, the Leonard Cohens of the world and the Joni Mitchells. Sometimes their songs, you know, are abstract lyrically, but you can always feel them. Yeah. Right? And you can really feel what you may not, like the language may not be like boy meets girl, they fall in love, live happily ever after, whatever, but you can feel the feeling in the song. So how has songwriting helped you process your emotions or help you feel things more deeply?
I think it's just brought a lot of like, it brings more attention to what I'm feeling, because sometimes I'll write things and I'll be like, I didn't know that I felt that way. Or like something will come out and it'll be like, oh, okay, like I do really feel that way. So it kind of confirms it for me and like makes the feeling stronger. It just makes me more aware of my emotions, I feel like. Yeah.
And it can be a reflective surface, showing us, you know, parts of ourselves. You know, and for you, the process of when you play a song for an audience for the first time, how does the audience reaction affect your relationship with the song?
It depends who it is. Like if it's somebody close to me and they don't like it, it's hard for me not to take it personally. Yeah. Like it's really hard. And then when it's like friends or like other, like just like fans, I feel like it's much easier for me to be like, okay, like they didn't like it, cool. Like it wasn't clear enough. Like let me work on this. But I think it depends who it is.
Yeah. The people closest to us.
It's hard.
It is tough, you know, it is, it is hard. And it's also because when we bring our stuff to them, what I've started to do is sort of get away from the whole subjective, like it or don't like it. Yeah. Because it puts our loved ones in a weird spot. Yeah. Well, I asked them, give me two things. Did this song make you feel anything? Yeah. Or three things, sorry. Did it make you feel anything? Did it start a movie in your head? Like, could you see the movie? And was anything confusing? Did you get lost in anything? Yeah. And that I find really helpful. And it sort of gets away from, you know, the whole like or not like, because it doesn't matter how old you are. Like, you know, it stings. Yeah. It stings when we create something and it's not as received as we were hoping it would be.
And I think I like learned like kind of recently is like just because one person doesn't like it doesn't mean it's not good.
Yeah, exactly.
Because there's some people who will resonate with it and some people who won't.
That's right.
So it's like somebody likes rock music and somebody likes pop music. It doesn't mean like each is bad. It's just like what you resonate with more at that time.
Exactly. And we as artists can't be all things to everybody, right? So we just have to be true to ourselves and what we have to say. If you don't have access to a coach that you can go to immediately, you can use family members, but give them some parameters like those ones. Because one time I was writing a song called 16 Summers and my daughter, T.A.R.A, I said, okay, come in, because they hate it. My kids hate it. They're like, no, don't make us. And I'm like, yeah, come. And so I'm playing the song for her. And what I was trying to say was, when your baby is born, you think you have all of this time. And really, you only have 16 summers until they get their license and their, you know, they have their independence and they go out into the world. So that's where I was coming from. The way I had written it, you know, halfway through the song, she goes, oh, Like she's totally shocked, and I finished it, and she goes, "Oh my gosh, does he die?" Because the way I had written it, I was setting it up like he died when he was 16. I was like, "No." So in some cases, it's really helpful because I was too inside the song. I couldn't see that some of the language I was using was setting the listener up. This person died, this character dying. Oh my gosh. Okay.
I know who I am.